Hi everyone, I'm Kayla McVeigh. I'm a third year student in the USM School Psychology doctoral program, and today I'll be interviewing Dr. Olmi. Dr. Olmi, do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, Kayla. Look, I appreciate that being here, and for those who are watching the video, I am very recently retired. That's the reason you're seeing me in my shorts and workout garb. I told myself that I would never wear long pants again as a result of being recently retired. I spent 31 years in the program, and so I've seen a lot of growth and advancement in the program over the years. So I'm very appreciative to be part of this endeavor.
So, Dr. Olmi, what initially attracted you to the field of school psychology?
Well, I always had a love for teaching, and I knew very early in my life, I mean, literally when I was in high school, that I wanted to be a teacher. But then by the same token, when I came to undergraduate school, I didn't know what a school psychologist was, and I had no idea what they did, to be honest. And so I double majored in educational psychology and social studies education. So knowing full well that I wanted to be a teacher, my first endeavor was actually in the K-12 classroom. And so I spent 2.5 years as a teacher, as a junior high school social studies teacher. My first teaching stint was actually overseas a whole long time ago, guys. And then I spent a couple of years in the Mississippi Delta. I'm a Mississippi native, and when I came back from overseas teaching, I jumped right into teaching in the Delta, because I had been influenced by school psychologists who had taught me a lot of my undergraduate courses. I had developed an interest and a kind of a love for the field even at that point. And I knew at that time that I was always going to come back to grad school. I just didn't know when. And I always knew that school psychology was going to be my pursuit. So I did 2.5 years of classroom teaching, came back to grad school, enrolled in a doc program, and halfway through the doc program, I participated in a job fair, again, just to see what the market was like for school psych. And so it just so happened that I went to this job fair, and people were putting contracts. I interviewed with a lot of parishes in Louisiana, and people were offering me contracts at the interview, and I was kind of taken aback by that. But later I realized that it was part of a corrective action in the state of Louisiana that required them to hire tons of school psychologists, and so every parish in the state was embarking on hiring school psychs, and so I had an opportunity, had job offers, and decided to leave my doc program at that time to work as a school psychologist in K-12. Intended on completing my doctorate, had job offers to go back into K-12, work as a school psychologist, and that was really enticing to me. So I left my doc program to become a school psychologist, and I worked in school psych, worked as a school psychologist in South Louisiana for 7 years, and loved the experience there. And then after that 7-year experience as a school psych, or those 10 years in K-12, I knew I was always going to come back and finish my doctoral degree.
So it sounds like you had a full circle experience as far as what attracted you to wanting to do school psychology, and then deciding to stay motivated after that by speaking to your mentor to go ahead and continue pursuing your doctorate's degree in school psychology.
Yeah, my relationships with mentors over my career has been extremely instrumental in every decision that I've made. And that's what I would suggest to anybody contemplating a career in school psych, is that mentor-mentee relationship is critical. And so even when I was in my doc program and when I was finishing, I really had no desire. I really did not think that I was faculty material, I thought that I was going to go back into practice in the schools, because I love practice in the schools. That was always my aspiration, and always the aspect of the field that I loved the most was practice in the schools. But it just so happened that late in my internship year, I had the opportunity to apply for faculty positions, and I think what made me attractive to this position here at USM and to other positions, because I had offers to go into other training programs as well as faculty, what made me attractive to them was the fact that I had significant years of experience in K-12, and those programs felt that would be really, really instrumental to being a good trainer of school psychologists.
What do you find the most rewarding about working in the field of school psychology?
Wow. There's so many things. One, obviously, as a now retired faculty member, but when I was a faculty member, what I really found rewarding was being able to stay in the schools and being able to train school psychologist wannabes who aspired to do good things by kids, and in a lot of academic settings the focus is research, but we were able to carve out real important practice opportunities, not only for us as faculty, because faculty stayed engaged in the schools, and I think that's one of the things that makes this program somewhat unique, is that students actually see their faculty engage in practice, in field-related practice, and students were able to see me interact with an administrator, interact with a superintendent, design systems. Yes, we want our students to learn research, but at the same time we want our students to be consummate practitioners and to understand the role of research in evaluation and practice, but also to understand the role of research as it informs practice.
I'm glad that you highlighted the different aspects of school psychology in terms of just like direct services that you can provide to a student, but then also indirect services where sometimes you're going to have to go through like school administrators and then like teachers. So that's an important aspect that you brought up too.
So as someone who functioned as a school psychologist, I very quickly realized that dealing with individual students, while it is important, quite often the behavior of students is a function of the system in which they exist. Mm-hmm. And so if the system is inefficient or ineffective, then it's going to result in students or kids not being successful in the academic setting. Mm-hmm. So I very quickly realized that a critical part of how we function has to be engaging systems, because systems result in successful students, and if we don't have efficient and effective systems in place, then we're going to have what I would call casualties, educational casualties or curriculum casualties.
Do you think that when in terms of like social justice, then everyone as a school psychologist can kind of define what they think social justice is? Because you mentioned before that you feel like you were already in a position where you were advocating for students, but it's just something now that's, I guess, pushed into the forefront of maybe having a specific paradigm on what it's actually supposed to be.
Well, I think you make a really good point. I think we as a field have to define the objectives. Otherwise, it's going to be everybody doing their own game, so to speak. And I think that we have to be cautious to ensure that we have very specific objectives that are to be accomplished in this movement. Obviously, I'm real keen about issues of disproportionality or adverse impact on certain subsectors of a demographic, of our school demographic, that we have to be really, really keen on on that a group is not adversely impacted by exclusionary practices.
What advice would you give those looking into school psychology as a career path?
Do some research about the field before you engage it, before you make the commitment, before you commit yourself to years of study in the field. And I had exposure to school psychologists. I had exposure to the field as an undergraduate. I had done some research on my own. So I knew that when I made the decision that this was where I needed to be, which again, I think is one of the strengths of this program. We have students immersed in the field fairly quickly, and I think that helps them make decisions as to whether or not this is where they need to be.
Thank you for spending the time to interview with us, Dr. Olmi.
My pleasure, Kayla. Okay, thank you.